Hola, mis comadres. Today I have a special guest. Sarah Baker's in the house. And we are going to talk to Sarah about what we love talking about: overcoming challenges, being resilient, being a strong woman. So, Sarah, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Baker. I am the owner and operator of Lavish Home Inspections here in San Antonio. I am the only woman, veteran, and licensed home inspector in San Antonio, and I'm happy to be here. I love what I do, and thank you, Chrissy, for bringing me on your podcast.
Thank you for making the time. Did you say you're a veteran too?
Yes.
Okay. So we just did a little interview for a little plug that's a little different. And then I asked Sarah if she wanted to sit down and film a podcast episode for my podcast. So we're going to dig in a little deeper into some of the challenges and the struggles that Sarah has, overcome with being a mother, but also being a mom to a special needs son. I hope that whatever Sarah talks about today can help someone who's out there who may need to hear that you're not alone. So, Sarah, I'll let you tell a little bit about your kids, the ages, of course, and yeah, just a little bit about you and how you came to where you're at now.
So I have two kids that were born during COVID. My son, who's 4 years old, he's autistic. He was born at the top of the pandemic. So I had him February of 2020, and we shut down a month later in March. So it was a very tough time when I had him. I was a single mom at the time, just trying to figure everything out. It got to a point to where I had to go back to work a couple of months after I had him. Everything shut down again. We went to remote work. Child cares were shut down. There was just nothing available. So that was an experience of its own. My daughter, she is 2 now. She's going on 3. She'll be 3 July 4th. And I had her, yeah, she was born early, so
For
we got a
someone
firecracker
who
baby.
serves for, she served for the army and has a kid who was born the 4th of July.
Right, doesn't get more patriotic.
And what's her name?
Her name is Phoenix.
Phoenix, okay.
Yeah, so my son Amaya's and then my daughter Phoenix. She was born July 4th, 2021. Also during the pandemic.
You could have named her America.
I could have. It was fitting. Yeah. So I learned so much from raising my son, and I knew a lot of things that I could do differently with my daughter. And so, again, it was a learning experience the whole way around. I thought I was just the most patient woman that I could be at first. I've learned so much about myself. I've learned so much about being a mom. I have pushed myself to limits I never knew that I could reach. And it's just been an amazing experience. It honestly has.
So how long before he was diagnosed, though? Like, how long before you knew?
So me as a parent, right? When something's just not right. I want to say he was maybe 8 months old when I started to notice that something wasn't right. And I started taking him to appointments. I started reaching out to specialists. And the issue that we had in the beginning is that we came into a new wave of this huge stream of autism diagnosis. A lot of the children now who are being diagnosed, from what I have seen, were born during COVID.
Oh.
Not only born during COVID, but were only children born during COVID. So,
What's
around
the
that
correlation?
I don't know. I'm still looking into it. I asked.
Is this before vaccinations or after?
I think it's during, right? Because people were still getting vaccinations during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So that's just from what I've noticed. I've met a lot of moms of special needs kids diagnosed with autism, and even ones that have multiple children, and one child is autistic. And I noticed that one child was a single child during the pandemic. And
So I'd like to get, some feedback on this, guys. So make sure you comment below if you've, heard anything like that, have experienced that, or know any info. Or if you're a medical professional and you have some information for us to kind of look at with that. That's interesting.
It's very interesting. I really want to keep digging into it. Again, some of the families I've met who have an autistic child didn't have other siblings in the home who were older to learn from because of what was going on with the pandemic and the shutdown and everything like that. So my son didn't get diagnosed until he was almost 3, right before his 3rd birthday. He was speech delayed as well. He still is speech delayed to some extent. And so we've gone through a process with that. But they didn't want to diagnose him until he was 2 to 3 years old because they wanted to see if he would grow out of it, if there were other things that was affecting his speech. And so we went through that part of the journey as well. But we're still learning. Yeah. We're still growing. We've gotten him into ABA therapy. Mm-hmm. Controversial as well.
What is that?
So ABA therapy, it's applied behavioral analysis.
Okay.
And instead of your child being in a traditional setting with in a classroom with a bunch of kids who have one or two teachers, they all have their own therapist who stays with them for the duration of their treatment. So they're there for a full day. They'll have that therapist for 7 to 8 hours.
Wow.
And so they get the attention that they need.
That's good.
They build plans for your child after they have an assessment. They come up with a plan for you to work on at home as well. So in addition to the treatment that they get at the ABA center, they go home and you have these things to work on with your kid as well, so that everybody's on the same page. So that has been working out wonderfully for us.
That's amazing. How long has he been on that again?
He started ABA therapy last year in about September, late August, early September.
So can you remember what it was that you were noticing when he was about 8 months old? Like what specific characteristics or, behaviors? So that way maybe it can help other moms who may be thinking that too,
The first thing for me was a huge regression, right? So I want to say maybe 7 months, he would attempt to say, mama, dada, baba, things like that. Just a couple of words. He had maybe 4 words. At that time, his dad and I said I was a single mom, so his dad lived out of state. Okay. And so we got to the point to where I felt like he was okay to go out and visit and spend some time there. And so I let him go out. He spent a month there, and he came back, and it was bad. So I noticed that he had a huge regression, and I thought maybe it was because he spent some time somewhere new.
I probably would have thought that too.
Yeah, but then it didn't change. So then he started to regress with even walking. We couldn't get him to walk. Around the time that he was supposed to walk, which they said was okay. Some kids take almost until 2 when they walk, and that was normal. But it was the fact that he was already making those leaps and bounds and doing it, and then he just stopped.
Oh, wow.
Right. He was getting his shots, too, during the time. Okay. He was getting his shots on time. We've considered that as well. But speech, regression with walking, regression with standing, regression with climbing, all of those things started to happen. And when he wasn't meeting his milestones, I was just like, okay, we got to go and figure this out. But one of the first symptoms that I noticed was like a month and a half or 2 years old. I noticed he had an intestinal issue. Like he was spitting up everything. He was on breast milk before. He was spitting up breast milk, which isn't really normal, So he was spitting up breast milk. We tried formula. He was spitting up the formula, and he was just fussy all the time. And so I took him to a gastrointestinal specialist. They said he was too young. They couldn't do anything. But that continued. And we still deal with that to this day. Sporadic constipation that would just last for long periods of time. And when we kind of got to a point where we saw so much progress, we decided to detox him. Okay. Right. So we decided to detox him, a natural zeolite spray. And then there was another one that were drops. And there was some research out there. There is still some research out there that tries to do the correlation between gut health with autistic children.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
I
they say
never heard about that.
Yeah. So a lot of the kids that are being looked at and that they're, taking tests on and do not anything like a lab or anything, but going to the doctor. They're finding that there's a link between gut health and autism as well. So I decided to try it out. It can't hurt to try a detox. Yeah. We tried this detox, and I kid you not, right before the 3rd week, he had an explosion of words. We went from 5 words to like 30.
What?
In 1 week span.
Oh,
I kid you not. And I'm not selling anything, I swear. And ever since
she didn't
then.
even talk about no product.
Yeah.
She's just,
Yeah. So we tried the detox.
That is amazing.
Yeah. One's a spray for the mouth, and that was a heavy metal detox. And then the other one were drops for the gut. And when we started to focus on his gut, we changed his diet. When we started the drops, we changed everything.
Well, and it makes sense because autism is from the brain, right? And so I know when my kids were younger and my daughter had a little bully and it had her throwing up every morning. So the nerves, it's coming from that. Yeah. So so that makes sense. I'm pretty sure there's more to it that I don't know about, but that kind of makes sense to me, not knowing. Okay. So how are the your 2 other kids with him? Like, how do they all get along?
They get along well. My daughter,
oh no,
she's a little meanie sometimes. Like First they're sour, then they're sweet. You know how they are.
Yeah.
But they're amazing. They get along well. My 8-year-old is my bonus son. So when I met his dad was a single dad. He had custody of him, and we kind of we blended our families, right? So we got together, we got into a serious committed relationship, and we decided to have our daughter together. So my oldest son, he wasn't understanding what was going on, right? And I could tell at some point he was really confused. You know, he would always say hi and try to give him hugs, and he wasn't really receptive because that is just another thing with autism. They're all different, right? And so my son struggles on the social side of things.
Well, because a lot of them do have the anxiety as well, right? Like they have anxiety issues. Are any of them in sports?
So we tried football last year for our 8-year-old, and he thought he really wanted to do it. He had fun at first, and he got over it. So we're going to explore something else. Football wasn't for him, but he loves basketball. He loves soccer. He loves baseball. So we have him in soccer right now, and he's doing other programs. But we haven't tried out sports for our younger two yet, just because it's a lot, right? We have our kids at 3 different schools right now. So we're 3 drop-offs in the morning, 3 pickups in the evening, and so it's a lot. And so, yeah.
Even better that you own your own business because you set your own schedule. So that's amazing. Okay, so I hope, some of the things that Sarah has talked about will help somebody out there. Now, I want one word to define you. Not mom Sarah, not daughter Sarah, not sister, not any other you. Who is Sarah?
I am ambitious. I will use that word to describe myself. It doesn't matter how much or how little I have. An ambitious person will always figure it out. They'll always find a way, and they'll always come up with something.
I love that. Thank you. That was a good. That was real quick too, y'all. I don't even have to edit that part.
I'll say that to myself. My words of affirmation. I'm ambitious, and I can figure it out.
And I love that you said that. I do that. I tell people I talk to myself all the time. Sometimes I'll use the mirror, and besides poetry, me writing poetry, that's therapy for me as well. You gotta hype yourself up a little bit sometimes.
You gotta do it.
So
step on the shoulders in the morning and say, "I got this. And I can do it."
Yourself up and try again.
Okay.
I want you to leave our audience with something. So to any other mom or dad out there that is struggling with parenting in general, or also, parenting special needs, just, a little something to show them that one day it's all going to be worth it, or, you'll get there, something like that.
I really have this on my heart. For parents who are dealing with children with special needs, it can become very isolating, right? We start to feel disconnected from our friends and our family who don't have children with special needs, because we feel like sometimes our families are a burden to them. It's a lot to learn. It's a lot to keep up with. But I want to encourage you to reach out to anybody, whether it's somebody you met at the park, somebody you see at the coffee shop. I've had parents approach me just seeing me with my son and go, I don't want to be rude, but like, is your child special needs? And we had a whole conversation.
So you're okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. Yeah, because now I have new friends, you know?
Love that.
And I'm such an introvert. I have a hard time reaching out to people. So
I just don't believe that.
I do good in small settings.
I know. I've invited her to some events, and she does not seem like an introvert. But okay. Yeah, no.
Reach out.
But I love that.
Yeah, reach out.
Now, I'm going to put all your handles on here, so it's okay for someone. So you take her up on that. Keep in mind with her time, with her scheduling. But definitely, if any of what we talked about today helps you in some form or fashion, then that's why I love doing what I do. So thank you so much, Sarah, for spending some time with me. And I feel like I want to have you on again, and maybe we'll just talk about Sarah before kids.
Okay.
Sarah BK before kids.
Yeah.
Just to know a little bit more about your upbringing, because you're such an amazing person, and sitting here talking to you for a little bit more, learning a little bit more about you. Oh, also in the interview, she was a D1 athlete. I know we're supposed to be signing off already, but she's just an amazing person, an amazing woman. So yeah, I feel like there's so much more that, we can have discussions around.
So
we can go on and on, especially if we had some like whiskey or wine or something like that. But we got coffee for the day. But yes, I just wanted to say thank you so much. And if you all need a home inspector, boom, she's your girl.
I love to help. Thank you for having me, and it was good being able to sit here and chat with you guys for a little while.
Okay. Es todo, mi gente. Hasta luego. Thank you. Yes. Oh my God, that was so beautiful. Thank you. I feel like I do want to know more about you.
You
like,
bring out the in me, like I want to talk about everything and help everybody.
People, I feel like that, like I have chills right now.
Really?
Yeah. You can see I have chills right now. Like just hearing a little bit more, and then you were like that when I said define you in one word, ambitious. I'm like, damn, that was cool. You should have seen the other girl.
I tell it to myself all the time.